Hello, everyone, and welcome to the September Recreational Astronomy Night meeting of the RASC Toronto Centre. My name is Paul Markov. I'll be your host for this evening, coming to you from Markham, Ontario. And we were planning to have this meeting in person at our new home at York University this evening. However, they're not quite ready for us from a technical perspective in order for us to do the live broadcast from there. Hopefully, York University will be able to provide us with a reliable internet connection for us for the October meeting. In the meantime, our AV team, comprised of Andrew and Better Reed, Ward Legros, and Cholucci, are working hard with York University to make this happen for us. Regarding future meetings, we have a wide open agenda for the October 2nd meeting. So if you'd like to present, please get in touch. In regards to upcoming presentations, I would like to let you know that after more than 24 years of organizing and hosting RAN meetings, it's time for me to pass the torch. And I'd like to thank Tom Luton for graciously agreeing to take over for me. Tom will begin hosting these meetings in October, but I'll still be in the background lending a hand for the remainder of the year, scouting for new presentations and speakers. The speakers for this evening are Claudio Oriani with The Sky This Month. Then we have Clay Davis. He'll talk to us about how could a planet killer help save the Earth. And we were supposed to have a third presentation from Charles Young, and he was going to tell us about a do-it-yourself project, power for your equipment at a dark sky site. So Charles is at a dark sky site, probably with plenty of power, but not a very good internet connection. So this evening we have not been able to connect with him sufficiently well for him to present to us. So I suspect that he'll talk to us at the October meeting. And then Tom Luton will close the meeting with the announcements, and we expect to be done maybe a little bit earlier tonight, maybe around 9 o'clock or so. If you have any questions for the speakers, please enter them into the YouTube chat box, and Ennio will ask the question to the speaker on your behalf. And also, if you're joining us online for the first time, whether you're a member or not, please say hello and let us know where you're from. Let's get the presentation started with Claudio and The Sky This Month.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Paul, for having me tonight. That's Claudio Oriani from Richmond Hill, walking distance from the David Dunlop Observatory. And tonight I will talk about the sky this month between today, September 4th, and October the 2nd, 2024. During my presentation, all times are expressed in the Eastern Daylight Time, which is 4 hours behind the UTC. And since there is a lot going on this month, so we have two planets at opposition. One time we reach western elongation. We have a lunar eclipse. We have an occultation, zodiacal light, and so many things going on. Without further ado, let's start. So a glimpse tonight, so maybe tomorrow morning is the best time of the year to see Mercury in the morning sky. Is still very low to the horizon, but it's very bright. So if you have an unobstructed view from your eastern side, you have the good chance to see Mercury. Saturn will also reach opposition on this Saturday. It's the best time of the year to watch Saturn and its moon. We have a full moon on September 17, plus a partial lunar eclipse, very partial. We'll go there very soon. The moon will also cross Neptune on the night of the eclipse and is visible from here. Neptune will also reach opposition on September 20. We will reach a fall equinox, so we have more time to image, less daylight time. And we also have the best time of the year to see the zodiacal light before morning twilight, the first 2 weeks of September, and even at the beginning of October. And then Mars and Jupiter will be very prominent in the eastern morning sky. and Jupiter will finally rise before midnight in a few days. So for tonight, we have the sunrise at 6:45, while the sunset is at 7:46. So that means that we have more than 13 hours of daylight. While on October the 2nd, we have only 11 hours and 39 minutes of daylight. So basically, we are losing 1 hour and 22 minutes of light, but that's a good news for those who are imaging and watching the stars. The astronomical twilight tonight, so 9:27 will be dark enough, and we have exactly 7 hours 38 minutes of imaging time. In October, we have more than 1 hour and a half more of imaging time, so 9 hours and 12 minutes. While remember that on September 22nd, we have the fall equinox. This is the best time of the year to see the zodiacal light in the morning sky, but with a caveat that you need to go where you have a dark sky, no light pollution. You see like this triangular diffuse globe of light made of interplanetary dust, and is on the same plane of the ecliptic. For the northern hemisphere, this is be very visible before sunrise for the next 2 weeks when the moon is out of the way. That's because around the equinoxes is when the ecliptic is at the steepest angle against the horizon and is visible highest in the sky. To better view and photograph the zodiacal light, you have to find a spot farther, the light polluted sky. It's kind of a recent discovery. It seems like the zodiacal light is coming from Mars. There is a link here, maybe I can share later. The space data because the zodiacal light might come from Mars. It's not sure, but it seems like there is some proof. The sky. So the summer triangle is still very high in the sky around 10 p.m. tonight, but it's getting lower and lower when the time is going around the end of September. The Big Dipper, on the other way, is going to be very low to the northern horizon, and the fall constellations are getting higher in the eastern sky. So you can see Cassiopeia, Perseus, Cepheus, Andromeda, Pegasus. I put it all together because there is the Greek mythology. They're all linked together. Maybe another time I can talk about this if you want. And also Riga is rising on the northeastern horizon. Sagittarius and Scorpio are setting earlier this evening. The next few images are from Stellarium, and I will show the sky, different area of the sky. So tonight, from the southeastern to the southwestern horizon, you see that the Sagittarius is setting, so it's very low. Eagle, the Aquila constellation, is still very high to the horizon, the summer triangle. And also the Milky Way orientation is very steep. You can go to that sky location when you can see an image of the Milky Way core. The fall constellations such as Capricornus and Aquarius are reaching the meridian and the maximum altitude of the southern horizon. However, they're not very high in the sky. Saturn, by the way, is in Aquarius, also Neptune. So it's the best time of year to see Saturn. It's somewhere here in the sky. You can see to the left in Aquarius constellation. We're going back to Saturn very soon. If you go to the northeast, to the southeast horizon, you see the Pegasus is getting higher and higher. So if you wait until midnight, you can finally see, Andromeda Galaxy, the double cluster in Perseus, and also the Triangle Galaxy. And there are lots of interesting galaxies in Pegasus as well. While the northwestern sky, as I mentioned before, the Big Dipper is going to be very low to the horizon, but is a good opportunity to image the gem even for the light polluted sky, such as the double cluster in Perseus here. While when you see the southwestern to the northwestern horizon, you see that the Bootes is going very low to the horizon. Still keep an eye on the Corona Borealis. You may heard that there is a T Corona Borealis, is a recurrent nova, and it seems like it didn't turn nova yet. It seems like it should happen between April and September of this year. We are in September, so maybe it can happen at any time. And if it's happening the same that happened in 1946, the T Corona Borealis can reach magnitude 2, the same magnitude as the Polaris. And they will be bright for a couple of weeks. So keep an eye on this part of the sky. Then in October, Saturn and Aquarius constellation are well positioned after the opposition in the southern sky. You can also try to image the Helix Nebula. I try from my location, but it's very low and there's lots of light pollution, but this is very, very beautiful. And I believe it's the closest nebulary planetary nebula. You see the northeastern sky in October, you see Pegasus and Andromeda are the most prominent constellations, so a good opportunity to take images of the Andromeda and Triangulus galaxies and the double clustering Perseus. Jupiter is joining the evening party, and Taurus and Auriga are also rising in the eastern horizon. Northwest, not much to say, so Auriga is getting higher, and Perseus is very, very high in the sky. Also, Cepheus is just overhead, so you can also imagine the Earth and Sol Nebula. They're here. And the southwestern sky, you can see Hercules is setting, while Arcturus has already set, and the bright stars of the Summer Triangle is the western part of the sky now. Now let's go and see the solar system. The sun is very active, you may have noticed. And I recently read that in August, there was an average of 215 times 5 daily sunspot on our home star surface, according to the Space Weather Prediction Center, which is the maximum that happened after the solar cycle 23 in 2001, when the average was 238.2. That means we are reaching the maximum of this solar cycle. And this also means that we can have more northern lights and more prominence and more activity on the sun. I mentioned a few links here, the spaceweather.com and also the swpc.noaa.gov, or you can also install app for a smartphone that is both for Android and iOS, My Aurora Forecast. You can also get notifications for your location if the aurora is getting a certain level. So you can just wake up in the middle of the night and take images. That's the sun image a few days ago with my hydrogen alpha scope. Is a 40 millimeter. You can see lots of prominence. And to give you an idea of what is going on, the next slide, you can see the Earth just as a comparison. So this prominence is like 3 or 4 times bigger than the Earth. And there's another beautiful prominence on the left side of the sun. So keep an eye on what is happening on the sun. It's very angry now, as someone said. And there are also flares happening. In the last few days, I didn't see so many, but if you see that there is a coronal mass ejection that is hitting our planet, so be ready to go out in the next couple of days. Let's go to the moon, our satellite. So the apogee will be reached tomorrow, September 5th, and the distance will be 406,000 kilometers, while the perigee will happen just after the full moon. So we technically have what is called like a super full moon, and it will happen on September 18, where the distance of the moon will be 357,000 kilometers. That means that the tides are a little bit higher. So the phases, so we have the new moon a couple of nights ago, September 2nd, while, sorry, I went to the next slide, accidentally, so I'm back. So the first quarter will be on September 11, when the moon will set around midnight. The full harvest super moon will happen on September the 17th, and We also have a partial lunar eclipse. I will talk about this in a few moments. While the last quarter will be reached on September 24th. A new moon will be again on October the 2nd. The partial lunar eclipse will happen on September 17. The maximum will be around 10:45 p.m. Will be visible from here, but the obscuration will be just 3.5%. So we see the top right of the top part of the moon will be a little bit obscured. But it's not the only thing that will happen on that day. You can check on the timeanddate.com website mentioned here, because Neptune will be around. At the beginning of the eclipse will be just a couple of degrees from the moon. There is very big difference in magnitude. While the moon will be 30 degrees above the horizon in Aquarius, not too far from Saturn. And this is what is happening on the night of the 18th. 3:54, the moon will occult Neptune. It's very hard to spot, but I mean, the moon is still high enough, so maybe you can try to take images and see what happens. So this is where the moon will meet Neptune, 3:54 and 6 seconds from my location. This is from Stellarium. And this is when the occultation will end at 4:40 a.m. and Neptune will pop up from the other side of the moon. So this is a good photo op. This instant when the occultation ends. We also have libration. So the moon is just spinning, but since there is the mutual attraction, gravitational attraction from the Earth, from the sun, this is an animation from Earth and sky that is telling what happened to the moon. It's wobbling. So basically we can see a little bit more than 50% of the surface of the moon during the month. We can see 58% of the moon. And we have good chances to see something more on the western limb of the moon on September 2nd. And on the September 13th, we can see part of the northern part of the moon that is usually not visible from our side of the Earth. The eastern side and the southern side will be visible on September 25th. We have a lot of moon, planets, and bright star conjunction. I already mentioned the moon that is occulting Neptune, but we have more opportunities. So tonight and tomorrow, Venus will be just 1.2 degrees north of the moon. So just now, because Venus is visible in the western sky after sunset. The moon will also meet Spica at 1 p.m. So it's a northern, during the daytime on September the 6th, but it will be still close enough on the same night, so half degree south of the moon. The moon will also be very close to Antares, and there will be occultation. I don't think it's visible from here, and this will happen on September the 10th because it's 9 a.m. The moon will also be very close to Saturn. There will be another occultation, visible probably from central Canada, but not from here, unfortunately. And the moon will be 0.2 degrees north of the Pleiades on September 22nd. And also will meet Pollux in Gemini on September 26th. I have a few screenshots here. So this is a moon and Venus, 8:10 tonight. So while I'm talking, that's the configuration. And the red rectangle is the field of view of a 135 millimeter lens on a Nikon and DSLR. So it's a good photo op. If you have a western horizon that is not obstructed by trees or clouds, you can try to look tonight. On September the 6th, something similar will happen between the moon and Spica in Virgo. They're very low to the horizon, but you can try again. And moon and Saturn on September 17, early in the morning, 4:30, they're very close. Look at the next slide. Saturn, the moon is setting, and Saturn is there. Like 1 hour later, Saturn will be behind the moon, but not from here. Sorry about that. This screenshot from Stellarium shows the moment when the moon is setting from my location, Richmond Hill, 6 a.m. in the morning. The moon will be on the same field of view, the Pleiades, on September 22nd, 6 a.m., and that's a very good opportunity to see them together. While the moon will meet Pollux in Gemini on September 26th at 5 a.m. in the morning. So plenty of opportunity to see the moon and other bright stars in the same field of view and planets as well. Mercury. Tomorrow morning probably is the best time of the year to see Mercury from the northern hemisphere this year. Again, if you have an unobstructed view of the eastern horizon. Tonight, Mercury reached the max western elongation, 18 degrees away from the sun. But unfortunately, this angle is steep, so it's not even higher than 6 or 7 degrees where the sky is dark enough in the morning. On September 9th, Mercury and Regulus will be very close. And on September 13th, Mercury will reach the maximum magnitude -1. But again, will be very closer to the sun. The apparent size of Mercury will be 8.2 arc seconds today, and at the end of September 21st will be 5 arc seconds. And it will disappear again at the end of September, inferior conjunction. So that's Mercury and Regulus on September 9. Look how close they are. You can try to take an image. It's 5:45 in the morning. Venus is very bright. The magnitude is -3.9 in the evening twilight, but unfortunately, since the angle of the eclipse in the western horizon after sunset in September is very low to the horizon. It's never going too high, but is very bright, so it's very easy to spot. And you can see Venus as a gibbous tiny disk with 11 arc seconds in diameter. Let's talk about Mars. Mars is a very prominent in the morning sky in Gemini constellation, and its magnitude is plus 0.7. It will be a little bit brighter at the end of September. And on September 8th, Mars will be really in the same field of view on M35, a beautiful open cluster. On September 9th, it passed 4 degrees north Aldebaran. They're both red, and the last quarter moon will be very close to Mars on the 19th. Its apparent size will increase from 6.5 to 7.5 arc seconds at the beginning of October. That means that you can see more details on the surface. There are some prominent details I already saw in a few days ago, such Syrtis Major, Hellas, and the North Polar Cap. And yeah, that's a very nice tool from skyandtelescope.org. You can see, when you input your local time, you can see the feature of Mars that are visible from your location. So the Mars profiler, still working there. And that's still the planet Mars with the Stellarium. Jupiter, finally, is rising before midnight and will be visible in Taurus constellation. Also, its apparent diameter will increase from 38.8 to 42.4 arc seconds, very big, and the magnitude will be -247 at the end of the month. From time to time, during the month of September, always, the little shadows cast by the Jupiter 4 Galilean moon will be visible across the planet disk. So every 2 or 3 nights, also the red spot is visible. And you can find Jupiter's moon transit events online on this website, as well as on our Observer Handbook 2024, pages 2026 to 232. You can see what happened in Jupiter. There are also some double transits. Saturn, September 8th will reach opposition, and the diameter on the day of opposition will be 19.2 arc seconds. If you add the rings, it will be 44.71. And the light from Saturn is taking 72 minutes to reach us because it's 1.295 million kilometers. So you see Saturn as it was 72 minutes ago. Still in Aquarius constellation throughout the month of September. And yeah, that's an image I took a few days ago. And this image is a couple of years ago. See that the ring plane is shrinking. So now is 3.3 degrees tilt, but the rings will technically like disappearing for a few weeks in March 2025 when they will become edge on Earth. And then we see the southern part of the rings. That's an interesting phenomenon. I try a few times. I will try again tonight as the weather holds. So our perspective of Saturn usually is not helping us, but now is the best time to see the moons that are transiting on Saturn with the black shadows crossing Saturn. Probably Titan is the best candidate because a big moon. I also Dion, Rhea, and Mimas and Enceladus. But the best is on September 13 when there will be a double transit. Dion and Mimas will transit both on the moon, on Saturn, and we can see the satellites and their shadows. But one, you need excellent sync condition and high magnification, and this is not happening very often in Southern Ontario. And also probably you need, I believe, at least a 9.25 inch scope. I tried my 8 inches, no luck so far. We'll let you know if I can try again, and I will reach this achievement. I never saw a shadow of a satellite on Saturn. Maybe this will be the right time. Uranus is blue-green, the magnitude is 5.7, and it will be rising in the late evening. It's going retrograde. So it's going backwards in Taurus constellation, and it will be stick to the Pleiades and the Hyades for the next 22 weeks because it's moving just 5 degrees. It's very slow. It's taking 84 years to have an entire year of Uranus. Neptune. Neptune is the next one to reach opposition. They will be September 21st. If you remember, Saturn was like 72 minutes from the light away from us, while Neptune is taking 4 hours to reach us with this light, so 4.3 million kilometers. The apparent diameter is 2.36, so it's just a little bit more than a blue dot. But if you have a telescope with at least a 6-8 inches diameter, that's the best opportunity to see and photograph the brightest moon of Neptune, Triton. And this image I took a couple of years ago with my telescope, 8 inches. You can see Triton in the red circle. So I can try. Comets. We have the comet 13P Olbers that is still bright enough, is visible in the western sky after sunset in Coma Berenices, with an estimated magnitude of 46. Sorry, you should be able to spot with a binocular in the little telescope after sunset. This is 9 o'clock tonight. And next one, but if this comet survives its perihelion, can be a very bright comet in the next few weeks. See 2023 A3, the Chuchin Sun Atlas. So it will climb in the eastern sky before dawn and stand 14 degrees south of the waning crescent moon on the 30th. The comet is just 5 degrees high in the east sky and 45 minutes before sunrise. But if survived perihelion, is be magnitude 1, and maybe you can even spot a tail. Always a big if with comets, you know. Now, let's talk about the deep sky suggestion of September. So for those who don't have the opportunity to go in the dark sky, from my backyard, I'm basically doing narrowband because it is less affected by light pollution. And in the last few days, I took images of the Elephant Trunk Nebula, sharpless 111. There is a beautiful story about this one. We go there in a few seconds. The Veal Nebula or the Cygnus Loop. There is a supernova remnant. There are so many nebulae like NGC 6990, 6992, 6995. They're all the same. And the Bubble Nebula in Cassiopeia. If you want to plan online, there is a free online tool I'm using and I'm getting notification every first of the month. You have telescopius.com. You can see what is visible and what is a good target for the next few nights when the moon is out of the way. Let's start with the Elephant Trunk Nebula. These images taken a couple of nights ago, and this is located in Cepheus. This was with the 80 millimeter apochromatic refractor and dedicated one-shot camera and a narrowband filter. It was on September the 2nd. I was just speechless when I saw the image because I had a very good thing, and this is what I got from the light polluted sky. So just cool. And that's the Tulip Nebula. In this image I took a few days ago, there is a star, and this star is rotating again around a very, very big X-ray emission source, and it wasn't known until there was a study. There is a link here. So the very first black hole was discovered in the 60s, and Tom Bolton and the DDO had a very, very good role in this discovery. So keep an eye on this nebula, and you may know that here somewhere there is a black hole. You can see the black hole, but you know that it's there. And then the supernova remnant, like 10,000 years ago, there was this supernova exploded, and this is the remnant. That's so huge because there are two parts of the same nebula in Cygnus, on the arm of the Cygnus, and they're very, very beautiful remnants of red, there's hydrogen, and blue is oxygen. And then the Bubble Nebula. The Bubble Nebula is something I also imaged on August 31st. So we have a few days of clear sky, unbelievable. There is still smoke in the air, but there was a clear sky. And that's another image I took with my 80 millimeter, and it was also beautiful. Now let's talk about the International Space Station visible passes. You know that there is a website, events/above.com, and this is where you can input your coordinates, so you can see what is happening. So the brightest the magnitude, and the better the opportunity to see the International Space Station passing overhead. So if you see, for example, September the 12th, you see minus 3.8, you can be sure that the International Space Station at 8:44 will be overhead. There are more passes in the next few days. Just keep in mind that you want to check often because the orbit of the International Space Station is changing over time. So maybe what is true today about September 22nd is changing a little bit in a few days. And again, this is the end of September, beginning of October. You see there are lots of bright passes. And this is specifically the pass that was happening on September the 12th. You can see the International Space Station rising here, and then is crossing this part of the sky, is going Cygnus, and then is disappearing behind the shadow of our planet when it's reaching Pegasus Andromeda constellation. So if you point the scope where is supposed to be a passage of the International Space Station, maybe you can also see it and you can also image it, but it's very, very tricky. And this is another website I came across because a few days ago when I was preparing this presentation, the Events Above website was down. So I found this website from NASA, spotthestation.nasa.gov. You can see in real time what happened, how much the path of the International Space Station is lasting for the next few weeks. There is another website, transitfinder.com, to see if the International Space Station, the Tiangong, the Chinese space station, will transit over the moon and the sun for your location. I checked a few days ago and nothing is happening on my end. You have to move. You can check until like 80 kilometers. If you're ready to move your scope where there is a transit, you can try. So that's the website again, transitfinder.com. Now let's go on the space exploration, and we are almost done. So we have a Vega Sentinel should happen probably tonight or tomorrow. And also there was the Falcon 9 Starlink on, it should happen today. I checked this yesterday, it was still true. I don't know if this was true. But more interesting, there is a Polaris Dawn, is a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket that will launch the Crew Dragon spacecraft. So there was a delay, not because of some issue on the spacecraft itself, but because they're not docking on the International Space Station, but there will be a pole and they will go in the Van Allen belt. So it's a very, very experimental. There's also a Crew Dragon. There is the American billionaire Jared Isaacman. There will be a second trip to space. There was a documentary on Netflix a couple of years ago about the first one. And yeah, there was a poor recovery weather. Since they don't have so much to bring with them, so they will stay in space only for a few days and they have to go back to Earth very, very soon. So they need to be sure that the weather or the recovery place is good. It seems like now should be good. So it should happen on September the 6th, Polaris Dawn. Okay. And then there is another Falcon 9 with a rocket that will send to medium Earth orbit for the European Commission Galileo project. Is a GPS from the European Union. And then we have some Soyuz that will be launched in space, and they have to join the International Space Station. As you may know, now all the docking space on the space station are locked because there is also the Boeing Starliner that should be returned to Earth in the next few days and crewed. So there is another dock. And then there is another SpaceX that will send other satellites and so on. And then another certification flight for the United Launch Alliance Vulcan rocket. And then the Falcon 9 Crew 9, they will join the International Space Station when there is a docking spot free. And with that, I think I'm done.
Hi, Claudio. Thank you very much for a great presentation, very detailed. Do we have any questions for Claudio, Anya?
We don't have any questions at this time, but we will continue to monitor.
Okay. Wonderful images.